Success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. This profound truth would become the foundation of Napoleon Hill's philosophy, but he first had to discover it through his own remarkable journey from poverty to becoming one of history's most influential success teachers. In 1883, Napoleon Hill was born into crushing poverty in a one-room log cabin in the mountains of Wise County, Virginia. His family struggled to put food on the table, and young Napoleon often went to bed hungry. The mountain community was filled with people who had accepted limitation as their permanent reality. Dreams seemed like luxuries that poor folks couldn't afford. Hill's early years were marked by rebellion and mischief. After his mother died when he was just 10 years old, he became known as the wildest boy in the mountains. His father, concerned about Napoleon's future, gave him a choice that would change everything. He could continue down the path of trouble, or he could channel his energy into something productive. His stepmother, sensing potential beneath his rebellious exterior, convinced his father to buy Napoleon a typewriter instead of the gun he wanted. That typewriter became Hill's gateway to a different world. He began writing for small local newspapers, earning a few dollars here and there. But even as a young journalist, Hill felt trapped by his circumstances. He looked around at the successful people he read about in newspapers and magazines, wondering what made them different. Why did some people seem to attract success effortlessly while others, like himself, struggled just to survive? The breakthrough came in 1908 when Hill, now 25 and working as a magazine writer, received an assignment that would alter the course of his life. He was sent to interview Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men in America, for a magazine article. Hill arrived at Carnegie's mansion feeling intimidated and unprepared. Here was a man who had built a steel empire from nothing, while Hill could barely afford the train ticket to get there. But during that 3-hour interview, something extraordinary happened. As Carnegie shared his insights about success, Hill began to see patterns and principles that he had never noticed before. Carnegie spoke about the power of definiteness of purpose, explaining that most people fail because they never decide exactly what they want. He talked about the magnetic force of burning desire and how it attracts the resources and opportunities needed for achievement. Carnegie, impressed by Hill's penetrating questions and genuine hunger for knowledge, made an offer that would test Hill's faith in these principles. "Young man," Carnegie said, "I believe the world needs a philosophy of success. Would you be willing to spend 20 years of your life interviewing successful people and documenting the principles that made them wealthy? I'll give you letters of introduction, but you'll receive no payment for this work." Hill had 60 seconds to decide. His logical mind screamed that this was insane. He had bills to pay and no savings to sustain him through years of unpaid research. But something deeper, that burning desire Carnegie had spoken about, made the decision for him. "Yes, Mr. Carnegie, I accept." In that moment, Hill began applying the first principle he would later teach, definiteness of purpose. He had committed to a clear, specific goal with a definite timeline. This wasn't a vague dream of someday being successful. It was a concrete mission with a 20-year deadline. The early years of Hill's research were brutal. He interviewed hundreds of successful individuals, from Thomas Edison to Henry Ford, from Alexander Graham Bell to Theodore Roosevelt. But while he was learning the secrets of success, he was also living in poverty. There were months when he couldn't afford proper meals, times when creditors threatened to take what little he owned. During his darkest period, around year 7 of his research, Hill almost gave up. He sat in his sparse apartment, surrounded by rejection letters from publishers who thought his ideas were too optimistic. His friends called him crazy for pursuing this unpaid mission. His family worried about his financial future. The temptation to abandon his research and find regular employment was overwhelming. But Hill remembered something John D. Rockefeller had told him during their interview: the way of success is the way of continuous pursuit. The moment you cease to pursue, you begin to retreat. Hill realized that his current struggles were actually proof that he was on the right path. Every successful person he had interviewed had faced similar periods of testing. He began applying another principle more deliberately: persistence. Instead of seeing his setbacks as failures, he reframed them as necessary steps in his education. Each rejection letter taught him something about what publishers wanted. Each month of financial struggle strengthened his resolve and deepened his understanding of the principles he was documenting. Hill also began practicing the principle of faith more consciously. Even though he couldn't see how his research would eventually pay off, he maintained an unwavering belief that it would lead to something significant. He visualized his completed work helping millions of people achieve their dreams. This vision became so real to him that he could feel the satisfaction of accomplishing his mission. The turning point came during Hill's 15th year of research. By then, he had accumulated an enormous amount of material and had begun to see the clear patterns that connected all successful people. He noticed that they didn't just work hard, they became the type of people who naturally attracted opportunities, resources, and the right connections. Hill realized that success wasn't something these individuals chased frantically. Instead, they had developed certain mental attitudes and habits that made them magnets for the things they wanted. They were definite about their purposes, passionate about their goals, and persistent in their efforts. Most importantly, they believed in their success before they achieved it. Armed with this insight, Hill began applying these principles more systematically to his own situation. Instead of desperately seeking publishers, he focused on becoming the type of author that publishers would want to work with. He refined his writing, clarified his message, and built his reputation as an expert on success principles. The transformation was remarkable. Within 2 years, Hill had multiple publishers interested in his work. Think and Grow Rich, published in 1937, became an immediate bestseller. But more than the commercial success, Hill was thrilled to see his philosophy helping real people transform their lives. Letters poured in from readers who had applied Hill's principles and achieved remarkable results. A struggling salesman in Detroit used the principle of definiteness of purpose to become the top performer in his company. A widow in California applied the concept of burning desire to build a successful business that supported her family. A young college graduate used the principle of faith to land his dream job despite having no experience. Hill realized that he had indeed become a magnet for success, but not in the way he had originally imagined. His success wasn't just measured in book sales or speaking fees, it was measured in the transformed lives of people who applied his principles. He had attracted success by becoming someone who could teach others how to achieve their own success. Years later, as Hill reflected on his journey from a poor mountain boy to an internationally recognized success philosopher, he understood that the real secret was simple yet profound. Success wasn't about trying harder or wanting more, it was about becoming the type of person who naturally attracted the things they desired. Hill had learned that when you develop definiteness of purpose, your mind becomes focused like a laser beam, automatically filtering opportunities that align with your goals. When you cultivate burning desire, you develop the energy and motivation that draws resources and people to your cause. When you practice faith, you project the confidence that makes others want to support your vision. When you persist through challenges, you develop the character and skills that make you worthy of success. The poor boy from Virginia had become living proof of his own philosophy. He had attracted success not by chasing it desperately, but by becoming someone who embodied the principles that make success inevitable. His life became a testament to the magnetic power of the human mind when properly directed and developed. Hill's legacy extended far beyond his own achievements. He had discovered and documented the mental and spiritual laws that govern success, creating a roadmap that millions could follow. He proved that background, education, and initial circumstances don't determine destiny. The person you become does. Through his own transformation and the success of countless others who applied his principles, Hill demonstrated that every person has the power to become a magnet for whatever they truly desire. The secret lies not in external techniques or shortcuts, but in the internal development of the qualities that naturally attract success. Success is not something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become.